Alright, I'm going to do a little tutorial about turns. And now turns are a really commonly used melodic pattern, so they happen in the left hand. Turns are like an ornament, so they make something more interesting than it was before, without really overcomplicating it. So a basic turn would be F sharp, or let's go C sharp, D, C sharp, B. So you went above C sharp and below C sharp. That would be a turn around C sharp. Like that. Or you can do turns that only go one direction, like just a turn that would only go above C sharp would go C sharp, D, E, C sharp. So that one just goes up and then hops back down. So there's different kinds of turns, but they usually, they have to repeat one of the same note and circle around it in some way. So they've got some note that kind of holds them in place. So if you ever learned Allegro in the Suzuki books, you've got so those are some turns there. So I'm going to teach you guys the tune Sally Gardens, and this is a super beautiful tune that I just learned recently that's just full of turns. Absolutely full of turns. So it's in G, so make sure you know your G scale. And you need to know the version that goes up on the A and E strings, which has a low second finger like that. So that's finger pattern 1 right there with the low second finger. And we're going to use that part of the scale a lot. So make sure you know how to play that scale. And here it starts right here on that note G. And we start off with actually not a turn, but just a nice little, nice long G, note G. And we use the open D string as well. So it goes, and then goes to the note B on the A string. So I'll repeat everything 2 or 3 times, and if you need more repeats, you can always pause it and circle the video around yourself. So here we go again. And I actually usually slur those. So next we just go down the scale. And that's actually our first turn right there. So the turn is below B. So we start on B and we go down 2 notes, B, A, G, and we go back up to B. And you can add some slurs in there wherever they feel good to you. So that's usually what I do. Here's the next turn. Oh, actually, no. This one is our one spot we have a nice little string crossing pattern. So that's what's happening right there. So from the beginning. And now we have this. So that's a turn around B, not just below B. This one's below. But this one goes above from the D. Below to the A and back to the B. So that's the next part, that turn. And then the next we have a very similar thing that we started with. Just a nice little transition from the note D. I guess you could call that a turn too. Yeah, it's a turn around D. Going down to the B though, so no second finger, skipping. So from the beginning. Okay, I'll do that one more time slower. Ready, and. And then we actually go into this big long run of turns. And that's the most fun part. So. Okay, so it's a turn above E, and then a turn around B. So above, turn above E, turn around B, starting on the third finger, and then a turn around E, but starting on the third finger. And again, really slow. Ready from the turn above E. Ready and go. And then it luckily just repeats. So I'll do the whole thing really slowly for you now. And then the last time, instead of doing the turn around E, we just land on the G and stop. Now, something I really like doing, and the tune almost doesn't feel the same without it, so I'll teach you this right now. When you when you get to the second line of the A part, where it does this again, I like to turn, instead of going down to the open D string, I've seen it played, and it's actually like this on the session, which is where I read this tune and got the notes from it, from. I got it, they add another turn into it the second time through. So instead of this, which kind of gets boring the second time, I'm going to replace it with this. So it's a turn around G, and a really close turn, because you're just going G, F sharp, G, A. So instead of, we're going to go. So let me show you again the two different ways to play the opening measure. The first time, it's like this. And the second time, it's like this. And what that really does is that keeps the groove going. So I'll show you now what it sounds like with that change. So I'll show you the second half now. So it starts with a similar rhythm to the beginning, but now we're up here on the A and E strings with D and G. And there's a little F sharp in there. And then it repeats the same thing without the F sharp. And it's shorter. And then we go. So this is kind of like a double turn almost. Because there's 3 G's in there, so we're going back and we're going above G, first with the 4th finger, then the 3rd finger, and then we're going below G with the open E. So. So let me do that again, slower. And I guess the G's are quarter notes both times. And every time you have a quarter note in this tune, most of the time I turn them into those 16th note. It sounds like a triplet, but it's 2 16th notes and an 8th note. Yeah, so. And the next part is a similar pattern, but you're using the open E and the A. And we do the same thing we did before around the G, the kind of double turn, or there's like an extra G in there, so and then again, so that little pattern comes back. And we come back around to that, so it repeats that again. And the ending, guess what, is actually the ending from the A section. So you already know that. So let me do the whole thing slowly, and then there's actually a variation for that makes it really sound amazing that I will tell you. But first I'll do it the slightly simplified way so you can really get the pattern. 1, and here we go. Actually, I'll do it without the swing. Ready, and now. And now the variation that I think is really important for the groove of the piece on the E string. When we get to that part that's the open E and the note A, I actually I fill in the 8th notes in the same pattern the 8th notes are going. I don't do any quarter notes, so I'll show you what I mean by that. Instead of hold, instead of that note, I do another G. To get me to that turnaround G, and so then there ends up being like 4 turns around G, and it feels like you get lost in this loop, but if you know where you are, then it's really impressive to the listener, that spot. So I'll show you that now from here. Swing. There you go. Something like that. Enjoy.